It's not a matter of if, but when a crisis will rock your world. I'm Rashini Rajkumar, crisis strategist, licensed attorney, and host of The Crisis Files. My crisis squad and I are here to find solutions. Our suggestions are meant to empower you to handle your own crisis or prevent crises from happening. We do not provide legal, financial, medical, or PR advice for particular situations, but strongly recommend you seek out professionals to help your specific need. I've got the entire crisis squad here on this one. Steve Silton, entertainment and sports attorney, Dr. Cheryl Ziegler, clinical psychologist and author, Dr. Abdul Omari, inclusion, equity, and diversity expert, and Jennifer Hellman, reputation management and public relations specialist. All right, squad, I've got our latest crisis file. Just got off the phone with an NFL assistant coach. He's going for a head coaching position. It's a dream job for him. He just got done with his interview. He thought it went really well, but then he read online they've already hired for the position. This seems like discrimination to me. He's a black man, and now he's thinking he's the token thing. He needs us. Abdul, what do you think?
I mean, this is not a surprise. The NFL has been not making much progress for a very long time. You got 70% of the NFL has black players. There's only 3 black coaches in the entire NFL. They've tried to implement something called the Rooney Rule that suggests you have to at least interview one person of color for a coaching job, but I think all too often it ends up in a situation like this. And part of the big challenge is you have 32 teams, which are basically 32 independent businesses with 32 independent CEOs, and you have a commissioner who works for those 32 CEOs. And so trying to create any sort of systemic change to make things like this not happen can be quite challenging. I mean, if this is a case where he was just being interviewed to say that they followed the Rooney Rule, I certainly think that we need to jump in and help out where we can in this particular situation.
And he wants to say something.
Well, the sad thing is he needs to decide whether he wants to be an activist and litigant or a head football coach. Because when you have a limited number of employers, it's really hard to sue one of 32.
That's a really valid point, Steve.
I think this is one of those times where I know usually you want to get out ahead of things, but I feel like laying back and letting the public in the current climate that we're in play this out.
What do you mean by letting it play out, Dr. Z?
I think there's going to be anger and outrage. I think a lot of people are going to really support the fact that, yeah, this seems like this was already a done deal. We were just doing this to check off a box. And I just don't think the public is going to be okay with that. So I really want to position him in a way that lets him lay cool, let people make their own decisions, and then come out on top.
Yeah, legal revenge is a dish best served cold. You generally have an extended time period in which to commence a suit. So laying back, pursuing other job opportunities, and maybe suing at a later date makes the most legal sense.
What do you recommend here, Jen?
In the PR industry, we think a lot about it, the David and Goliath news story. You want to know in every situation, are you David or are you Goliath? Because the public is always more sympathetic to David. So in this case, I would say we have a David, right? And let's carefully monitor what people are saying. I agree with you. Let's step back because we have the advantage currently.
That's an excellent point. Maybe this is a case that's best served by using public relations as opposed to the law.
And keep in mind, he's very well liked. He's liked by the players. He's liked by the fan base. And he really has the potential to be a head coach and could be a great contributing member to another team. So we got to keep that in mind and really help him. I like the strategy of let's step back, let's keep cool before we take our next step.
He has the advantage right now. Nobody ever loses from taking the high road. So right now we are in a situation where he's taking the high road. When he comes out and says something, that will change everything. So we have to make sure that whatever he's saying is right.
This story is online, so it's not going to be long before others are connecting the dots that he was discriminated against.
I mean, I think we have to acknowledge the fundamental absurdity really in this, that this individual has to decide, do I want to work in the future at something that I'm really good at, or do I want to do what I think is right and stand up for what I believe I've been wronged?
Here's what I hear for next steps. First, let's really talk to the coach. Does he want to confront the team now and put out a statement about what seems to have been a sham job interview and let the chips fall where they may? The team he's currently with likes him and his job there seems secure. Or does he want to wait a day or two and see what goes on in the court of public opinion? He's well liked. He's more than qualified to be a head coach. Public outrage over this might be enough to get him multiple job offers without him having to say anything. But in the end, it's going to have to be his decision. All right, squad, on to the next crisis. I'd like to thank the members of the Crisis Squad for joining me, Steve Silton, Dr. Cheryl Ziegler, Dr. Abdul Omari, and Jennifer Hellman. This crisis brief is brought to you by Goff Public. Number 1, understand short-term and long-term consequences. Number 2, determine how the marketplace perceives and values your brand. Number 3, maintain relationships and show gratitude toward allies. Prepare and plan before a crisis strikes with Goff Public, an award-winning public relations and public affairs agency. Learn more at goffpublic.com. Thank you to the team at Spoke 612 Productions, show producer Angela Dahlman, and Eric Beaudry, our editor, with post-production by Tom Hamilton at Undertone Music. I'm Rashini Rajkumar. Join me next time on The Crisis Files.